Let's get all situated and pull up my secondary screen. All right, there we go. There we go. I can see the chat now. What's going down, everybody? Wait for some people to get up here and let the noties go out. You know what I'm saying? Let the noti go out. But we live. We live. What up, everybody? Shout out to everyone who's in here. I don't know if who that is yet. No one's commented, or at least it's not popped up on mine. Everyone, write y'all a little message. What's going down? What up, Charlie D? You just watched Mr. Ballen? Yeah, Mr. Ballen. Whoa, 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 Mr. Ballen. Yeah, we about to watch. We got two Mr. Ballens that we're gonna do today. We got two. I'm about to roll up. We're gonna give everybody a few minutes. What time is it? 6:40. Let's give everybody just a couple minutes to hop up in here. What up, Amber? Sitting on the East Coast with no power and possible snow? Dang, that sounds terrible. That sounds terrible. I don't like this snow. What up, John? We got your weather here in Maryland. Cold and some snowflakes and rain. Dang, it was nice today. It was like 73, 74 degrees today. It was nice and hot. You know what I'm saying? It was beautiful. Yeah, I don't know. Y'all, it seems like it switched up. By the way, John Morgan's like, oh, okay, for sure. We got Amber and John. Amber and John. Gang, gang. Yeah, well, shout out to you guys. I was about to say something, but I can't say it. I can't say it. I was going to say something, but I can't say it because I can't say it. That's all I'm going to say. I can't say it. But anyways, you guys almost ready? Man, I almost spilled the beans. Woo, I caught myself. I was almost a bad secret holder. Whew. Glad I caught myself. Anyways, and no, you guys cannot know the secret because you just can't know the secret. It's just, nope. I almost spilled the beans though. Whew. Can't do that. Can't do that. You can't be out here spilling the beans. Anyways, I'm about to get myself situated. We're about to get going here. Letting some people hop in. First off, I do want to apologize to you, everybody, for missing out on Wednesday and Friday's live. That's my bad. We were supposed to go live and do some live reactions. You know what I'm saying? We supposed to do this twice a week, and your boy failed you again. My bad. I can't lie. I gotta just take responsibility for that. But either way, you know, I love y'all. We here today. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna make up for it today. And I got some time today. Renee's out hanging out with her sister. All the girls are Lana's at a birthday party. Jay's at her mom's house. And Lena is hanging out with her grandpa. So it's me and you guys. It's me and y'all. You know what I'm saying? Me, y'all, and the dog. Wherever he decided to go. I think he went in the living room. Or he's on my bed behind the green screen. Either way, it's me, you guys, and the dog. Chiefy. Big boy Chiefington. So yeah, we're going to get this party started. She kind of knows, but she hasn't seen it yet. Well, I can't say nothing. I'm still not going to say nothing. I'm not spoiling the surprise. Nope. And the surprise didn't even have to be about her. I could have been spilling anybody's beans. You just kind of let it slip out and let it be known that it was, about her. But I didn't spill the beans. No beans spilled here. I didn't spill no beans. What up? What up, David? What's going down in Chinatown? All right. Yo, before we get into this, I got a question for you guys. Do you guys want... You guys have been asking, and I know I have a lot of people that ask me about merch. I got an idea for some ghost merch, bruh. I got some ideas, or an idea. So you know how we be saying, I got 99 problems, but a ghost ain't one? Y'all want that on a t-shirt? If y'all want that on a t-shirt, give me fire emojis right now. Light up the goddamn chat with fire emojis. And I'll know that y'all want the I got 99 problems, but a ghost ain't one shirts. You dig what I'm saying? I got y'all. I'll put some mock-ups together. I'll throw it up on like the story on like Instagram and YouTube and all that shit, and you guys can kind of see, and then we'll go from there. You know what I'm saying? Y'all can put in orders, pre-order. You know what I'm saying? We'll do like a pre-order situation where maybe I'll have like a PayPal link or a CashApp link or something where it'll just be like, yo, just a straight, you know what I'm saying? Pay all your information right there, size, all that, and where I'm shipping it to. Make it super simple. Yo, would y'all like that? Would y'all like that? I see some fire emojis. I see some okay, let's do this, bro. Shout out to everybody who's up in here right now. I know some people are going to come straggling in and falling into the hole of Mile High in the fam. So let's go ahead and get this going, man. I'm about to hit that full screen. Let's blow this up. And let's do this, bro. I'm excited. We got Mr.Ballen, the most insane man on TV. You dig? Besides me. You dig? It's like I'm not that insane. Anyways, let go.
Today's final story deals with a destructive, horrible, vile act that virtually anyone can do.
What you got there? Some lemon cream kush? No, right here is some papaya god. And Amber hit the crazy fire emojis. Okay, I got y'all. Be on the lookout either later tonight or tomorrow for some I got 99 problems, but a ghost ain't one shirts. You dig what I'm saying? Gang, let's go.
However, there are no laws against it. But before we get into today's stories, if you're a fan of the strange, dark, and mysterious delivered in story format, then you come to the right place because that's all we do, and we upload once or twice every
Liz
week.
Is like,
so
yes!
If that's of interest to you, please
you.
ask the like button to be the back half of your two-person horse costume for Halloween, and then when they accept, spend the night before drinking Miller Lite and eating falafel. Also, please subscribe to our channel and turn on all notifications so you don't miss any of our weekly uploads. All right, let's get into today's stories.
All right, let's do it. It's time. It's time to get this cracking. It's time to get this show on the road, baby.
In 2007, 60-year-old Michael Dick was living in Bow, East London.
Michael Dick. That is one hell of a name. I couldn't even take anybody serious with that name. Yeah, I'm Michael Dick. I'm sorry. That shit caught me off guard. I wasn't ready for that. This motherfucker said, start the story off with Michael Dick. Like, what? Your mama didn't like you, son.
With his wife and two daughters. While his life was not exactly exciting, it was good.
At him. He
lived in a quiet and safe neighborhood, and Michael, who used to be a carpenter, was now semi-retired and got to spend the bulk of his time with his friends and family. But that year, something really started to bother him. 10 years prior, Michael had split up with his first wife, and after their divorce was finalized, his ex-wife and the daughter they had together, her name was Lisa, and she was 21 at the time, those two stayed in the family home in Sudbury, England, and Michael moved south about an hour and a half to Bow, East London. He did. The divorce had been quite messy, and so Michael had not only...
You want to know why the divorce was messy? Because Michael was a dick. Oh, man, I can't get enough. It's probably going to be a lot of Michael Dick jokes. Be prepared.
touch with his ex-wife, he had also lost touch with Lisa. And so fast forward 10 years back to 2007, and Michael and Lisa had not spoken since the divorce, and Michael found himself suddenly feeling this unbelievable wave of grief over the loss of his relationship with his first child. And so after speaking with his current wife and his 2 other daughters, he decided that he had to go find Lisa. He had to be reunited with her. The only problem was he didn't know where Lisa lived. He didn't have her contact information.
And you want to know why he didn't have anything to contact, any way to contact her, any access to her? Because Michael was a dick. I'm just saying. We could continue to keep saying it. Like, we're going to have 36 minutes of just Michael's a dick. Okay? Sorry.
And he didn't know where his ex-wife was, so he couldn't even ask her how to get in touch with Lisa. However, he did have the street address of where they used to live in Sudbury, England, and so he decided that would be his starting point. So in August of that year, Michael and his 2 other younger daughters, they hopped in the car and they left Bow, East London, and they headed up to Sudbury.
And
when they got there, Michael
now.
navigated to his old street, which had brick houses lining each side of the road, and he drove down until he spotted
became
his
a
old
stalker?
house, and he parked right out front, and
that's
then
a
he
dick thing to
alone
do.
hopped out of the car and he walked up to the front door. He took a deep breath and then he knocked on the door. When the door opened, it was not Lisa, it was not his ex-wife, it was some other family that he didn't know, and they didn't know Lisa or his ex-wife, and so they said, you know, good luck finding your daughter, but we don't have any information for you. And so Michael was crushed, but he thanked them, and he turned around, and he went back to the car, and he told his other daughters about what he had just learned, and then from there, the trio just kind of began driving around Sudbury, half looking for Lisa out on the streets, although none of them thought they would actually find her, and then also kind of discussing what they were going to do next, because now they had nothing. And so as they're driving around the streets of Sudbury, they come to the realization that their best bet at finding Lisa is putting some sort of story in the local newspaper that hopefully she would see, and then she would contact Michael. And so they drove to the headquarters
That's creative, because back in the day, like that I gotta give it to him. Michael's a dick, but you know, that was very creative right there. That was very. I don't think I would have thought to put a ad in the paper, like basically just being like, "Yo, contact me, bro," or well, daughter, you know, long lost daughter, contact me. Like, I don't think I would have been that clever. I got to give it to him. That was pretty clever. I got to give it to him.
Suffolk Free Press, and they went inside and they managed to speak to a reporter. And after telling the reporter Michael's story about how he's lost touch with Lisa, the reporter thought, you know what, this is actually a pretty interesting story, and I'd be happy to do a small feature on you guys. And so the reporter, along with the photographer,
that has to have been a small town. Hold on, we gotta pause. That had to be a small town. If that was the most interesting thing, there was nothing going on in that town. I promise you. There's just that town. There ain't nothing else going on. He was like, bro, I got you. You know what I'm saying? I'll write a whole story about you.
They took a picture of them, and then they told Michael, you know, in the next edition of the paper that will run in a couple of days, we'll run this picture along with a little write-up about how you're looking for Lisa, and we'll put your contact information in there, and hopefully she sees it, and she reaches out to you, and you can be reunited and live happily ever after. And so Michael thanked the reporter and the photographer, and then he and his other 2 daughters hopped in the car and headed back to Bow, East London. In 2007, at the same time that Michael was beginning his search for Lisa, Lisa was actually beginning to think, you know what, I want to go find my dad. Lisa was now 31 years old. She had 3 kids of her own. She was married. She had moved out of Sudbury to a neighboring town. And she was thinking, you know, I really want to have a relationship with my dad again so that my kids can have a relationship with him. And so she began speaking with her mother and with friends about how she should go about finding her dad, because like Michael, she didn't have his contact information. She didn't have a phone number. She didn't know anyone who would. And then when she went on social media to look for him, he wasn't on there, and so she was kind of at a loss. Then, one day in August, she was at her office, and she was in the break room, and she saw a copy of the Suffolk Free Press sitting out on the coffee table. So she picked it up, and she began flipping through the pages, and then suddenly she stopped when she saw a picture of herself. She saw her and her mother walking along the streets of Sudbury. She had been...
Dang, that'd be crazy. Shout out to Liz. Hold on one second. How do I get to be a mod? I don't know. We can talk about it. Shit, hit me on the in the DMs and we can figure out like what a mod situation really looks like for the Mile High channel, and when we're going live, and like really figure out what that actually looks like. Yeah, we'll have to just figure that out. And I think we did talk about that too. I think we talked about it too, where any mods that we'll do will have to be we'll make them members. Like if you're a member, you'll become like a mod of like a certain, like, you know, I don't know. We'll figure that out. Because you're like the third or fourth person that's asked me that. So we'll figure that out. We'll figure it out.
Sudbury just a couple of days ago to talk to her mom about finding her dad and kind of strategies for how to go about doing that. And then Lisa glanced at the caption for this photo and she nearly fell off of her chair. The man and the two girls who were the main focus of this photo that Lisa was in were her father and her two stepsisters. She just didn't recognize them. She just saw herself in the back of this photo. So purely by chance, after being apart for over a decade, on the only day that Lisa happened to be in Sudbury talking to her mom about finding her father, she was literally 100 feet behind her father and her stepsisters as they were looking for her and putting out this
like
ad in the paper to hopefully find her. And this one photo that the photographer took captured all of them in the same frame.
Lisa, that is crazy. That's like a coincidence. Like that, like that's almost low key some kind of weird, freaky shit. You know what I'm saying? Like to just be randomly taking and doing like a little news piece trying to find your daughter, and then all of a sudden in the same photo, like not like 20 feet away from you, she's right there walking by. Like that would be kind of weird. That would be kind of that'd be a little freaky, bro.
And get her father's contact information. She would reach out, and initially Michael actually thought it was a scam and didn't believe this was actually Lisa calling to say, I found myself in the picture of you in Sudbury. But eventually he was convinced, and he drove right out to Sudbury, and he got a chance to meet his grandkids for the first time. And today he and Lisa are still in touch. Before we get into our next story, I want to talk to you about today's sponsor, BetterHelp. One of the hardest things about struggling with your mental health is that oftentimes you don't actually know you're struggling with your mental health. Before I skip that part, Mr. Ballen to get
shout out to Mr. Ballen,
tropical wilderness full of amazing and exotic
animals. All his sponsors, but all right, number 2, graphic content.
If I told you to picture the Amazon rainforest in your head, you would likely picture a dense tropical wilderness full of amazing and exotic animals. And you'd be right, that is a good representation of the Amazon rainforest. But what a lot of people don't know is that the Amazon rainforest is also home to a massive city. It's called Manaus, and it sits right in the middle of the Amazon rainforest, right along the Amazon River. And it happens to be one of the most violent places in the entire world. All it takes in Manaus is simply walking down the wrong street or crossing the wrong person, and you can get shot or stabbed in broad daylight, and there's virtually nothing anyone can do to stop it. In 1989, a 31-year-old former police officer named Wallace Souza decided to make a TV show about what it was actually like to live in his hometown of Manaus. And unlike other crime shows in Brazil that often censored out the most graphic content they covered, Wallace decided he wasn't going to do that. He wanted to expose the harsh reality of life in Manaus, and he felt like the only way to do that was to show everything. And so that year, he launched this show, which he called Canal Livre, which translates roughly to free channel. And true to form, there was no filter on what went on the air. And so this show was shocking. Viewers were given a front row seat to freshly murdered victims that are lying out in the road and slumped over chairs and restaurants and behind steering wheels. And the cameraman would zoom in on their fatal injuries, and they would zoom in on the faces of these people that have just died. Every gratuitous detail, every blood spatter, every grieving family member of the victim who's crying out in pain.
It's terrible. Who wants to watch this shit
on this TV show?
Who would want to watch that?
In between these very dark and violent segments about gang killings and drug deals gone wrong, Canal Livre also had a much lighter side. They would bring on local artists to
look, I appreciate watching, you know, some violent shit or gory shit like the next motherfucker, but like, you know what I'm saying? Like I don't mind the filters. I don't mind when you want to blur out certain things. You know what I'm saying? Certain things are just a little too graphic. I'm just saying. You know what I mean? We don't gotta expose ourselves to things that we wouldn't necessarily be exposed to otherwise. You know what I'm saying? That sounds terrible. Sounds awful. Like, awful. Hold on 1 second. Brody's texting me. Oh, bro. That shit sounds terrible, bro.
Talk
I'm just
about
saying.
what they're working on,
I
to
wouldn't
maybe try
watch
to
that
sell
shit
some
for
of their
real.
goods. The show would also focus on down on their luck families that needed help
Sounds
raising
awful.
some money, and so the show was designed to get people to
Right?
donate.
Some
And then
psychos,
also,
for
for
real.
really
You
no
gotta
reason
be-
at all,
you gotta
there was a
have a couple
segment
loose
on the
screws going
show
to
where
watch
this
that
puppet
shit.
character would get into a fight with a man selling bread. It was a totally bizarre and shocking spectacle, and the people of Manaus loved it. And then eventually the people of Brazil loved it. I mean, this was an extremely popular show. Because Wallace was often on camera on Canal Livre, he became very famous and very recognizable. And so when he would walk around Manaus, people would see him and literally just start clapping and cheering for him. And as he and his show became more and more popular across South America, Wallace decided he didn't just want to report on crime, he wanted to fight crime. So, on air, Wallace began berating the government for not being able to protect its citizens, and he berated the police for not being able to catch the criminals. And then off the air, Wallace campaigned for and was elected to political office in Manaus, where he continued to push hard to reduce crime in the city. And so it wasn't long before Wallace went from just being a relatively well-known TV host to being one of the most beloved and influential and trustworthy people in all of Brazil. However, over the years,
That
there
just
was
sounds like
one
he's setting
strange
himself
thing
up to
about
get
his
knocked
show,
off,
Canal
bro.
Livre, that people just couldn't wrap their heads around.
Or he was like the top dog, and he was just putting himself in the front of the camera while he was behind the scenes calling shots and having people knocked off and shit so that he could have good content to go shoot. I'm just saying. Look, I feel like this is like the devil hiding in plain sight right here. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think that the intentions and like is there. Nah, bro. Like, this dude is nuts. This
oddity was most obvious in a now famous episode of Canal Livre that aired sometime in the mid-2000s. This episode opens with a Canal Livre reporter making their
commercial.
Here's how easy it is to save money and time shipping your packages with Pirate Ship. Whether you're creating a
their way through a jungle, and there's a cameraman filming them from behind, and this reporter, they're very carefully walking through, kind of pushing branches out of the way and high stepping over all the underbrush. And then at some point up ahead, you see there is a clearing, and there is a third person standing in this clearing, and they're clearly looking straight down at something on the ground that we can't see. But this third person is very occupied with whatever is on the ground. And so eventually this reporter makes their way through the jungle into this clearing, and then as soon as the cameraman gets into the clearing as well, he looks down at what is on the ground. And what you see is what appears to be a log that has previously been lit on fire because it's still smoking and it's black and it's charred. But as the cameraman zooms in, you see there are hands on this log. So you realize it's not a log, it's a human being who's obviously deceased. And based on how badly charred they are and how much they're still smoking, you realize very quickly that this person must have been on fire very recently as probably just a couple of minutes ago. Like right before the camera got here, this person was on fire. And so as you're kind of seeing this shocking image, the reporter suddenly talks about this person like he knows all the details of them already. He says, this person, it's a man, and they were not shot to death. They were doused with gasoline and burned alive. But at this point, the police had not come out. They had not seen this dead person yet. And so it made no sense that the reporter would have all this information on hand, because no one knows this stuff yet. And based on just looking at this person's body, it was too badly burned to be able to tell whether it was a man or whether they had been shot or not, or whether gasoline was used. But when Wallace was questioned about where he and his reporters got their information from, he just said, look, we're a very popular show and people call us often before they call the police, and they give us information about what's happening in the city. And we have a huge team. We watch the police headquarters, we listen to the police's radio, we watch the morgue, we have loads of informants all over the city, and so we just get our information really, really quickly. And this answer was enough. until 2008.
I don't believe
year,
that
in
shit.
October, the police arrested a former Manaus police officer who just went by the name Moa, and they accused him of 9 murders. And so they throw him in jail. But Moa, despite the seriousness of the charges against him, seems totally unfazed. It was obvious he had some sort of powerful connection outside of prison, some person or some entity that he fully expected was going to, at any moment, swoop in and magically get him out of prison. But that didn't happen. Moa just continued to sit in jail, and at some point that began to sink in that he was kind of on his own, and so he began to talk. And the story he would tell would shock Brazil. Moa would admit to having killed some people, but he would tell police, "Look, I'm just the assassin. The person who hired me for these killings is Wallace Souza."
Told you.
Wallace Souza,
I told you. Didn't I tell you? Bro, I called that shit, bro. Dang. I told you. He was the devil hiding in plain sight. He was sitting there. He got infatuated with the love. He got infatuated with the goriness, the blood. He was evil, bro. He was a psychopath. He was a psycho. Nothing else to be said.
With the best of intentions. But when his show became massively popular, and it in turn made him, Wallace, also massively popular and powerful, he became corrupt. And at some point, after his meteoric rise, he formed this very powerful drug cartel. And then in an effort to bolster his illegal dealings and to boost his show's ratings, he decided to start contracting hitmen like Moa to start taking out rival gang members in Manaus. And he would tell the hitman how he wanted them killed and where he wanted them killed and at what time. And then after the hitman agreed to do this, he, Wallace, would go tell his camera crews exactly where to go and at what time so that they would be arriving at the murder scene literally right as it was happening or right afterwards, allowing them the opportunity to get all the gory footage before anybody else. It would take the police a year to finally compile enough evidence to charge Wallace with murder, but they would do it in October of 2009, and eventually Wallace would turn himself in. However, he denied everything. And then before he went to trial, he would die of a heart attack in prison. And so we never actually got to learn the full extent of what exactly Wallace Souza had done, how many people he had assassinated, and how many of them were shown on his TV show. But we do know that at least 3 of his assassination victims were shown on his TV show, one of them being the person that was found out in the jungle. They really were a man. They really had not been shot. They had been burned alive with gasoline at Wallace's discretion. But in the end, the person who paid the highest price for the Canal Livre killings was Moa, the hitman who blew the whistle on what was going on with the show. On New Year's Day in 2017, a crime syndicate overran the prison where Moa was being held. Now, they had lots of targets of people they were going there to kill, and one of them was Moa. They were furious with him that he spoke to police and gave up information about the drug trade in Brazil. And so eventually, this angry mob of gangsters made their way over to Moa's cell, and when they found him, he was pressed up against the back of his cell wall, basically as far away from the bars as he possibly could be, and he began pleading for his life, and this horde was not having it. They were only there to kill him. And so they all have machetes and knives, and they're looking at him through the bars, and they say, we're going to come in there, we're going to cut you to pieces. And so then they start banging on the door, they're trying to hack the lock open, and Moa, he can't do anything. All he can do is kind of just keep himself all the way to the back of the cell and hope they don't get in. And eventually, they can't open the door, and they know it. And so they do the next best thing. They reach through the bars with a lighter and they light Moa's mattress on fire. And so Moa was trapped. He had nowhere to go. And so eventually the fire reached him and he burned alive.
Dang, commercial. That's crazy, bro. They said that he burned alive. Like, holy crap. God damn. The Gap. Number 1, The
In
Gap.
2010, 18-year-old Renae Marsden was living in Sydney,
Shout out to
Australia
everybody in
with
here
her
watching,
parents
you know what I'm
and her
saying?
3
Gang,
siblings.
gang.
Renae was a very outgoing
Subscribe.
person who had a big circle of friends, and she was also very close with her family, especially her mom, Teresa. Teresa had given birth to Renae when she was only 19 years old, and so now that Renae was a young woman, because of their closeness in ages, the two had become very close friends instead of mother and daughter. And so because of that dynamic, Renae found herself always going to her mother to tell her anything going on in her life. She was her confidant. And that year, something major had disrupted Renae's life, and so naturally she went to her mom and she told her about it. It would turn out Renae's boyfriend of nearly 2 years, who she was madly in love with, well, she discovered he was cheating on her and didn't actually even care about her. He had sent these text messages that basically said as much. And so she confronted her boyfriend with these text messages, and he denied ever sending them. He said, look, I've never cheated on you. I don't know where those came from. I promise I've been faithful to you this entire time. But Renae just wasn't buying it, and so she had felt forced to break up with him. And so Renae naturally had turned to her mother for comfort and guidance. But Teresa, all she could really offer her daughter was, to remind her that time heals all
What are you
wounds,
talking
and
about,
that certainly someday
Did you leave your phone out and let the other chick, the side chick, get a hold of it? And she, you know what I'm saying? You didn't lock your shit, or like, wait, what? You just slipping on your pimping pimp? You know what I'm saying? Like, you're not a good liar, bro. I don't know. We gotta let this play out.
The right
I'm not
person
sure.
for
I'm not
you.
convinced.
And amazingly, only a couple of weeks after this very painful breakup, Renae came home from work one day and she walked into the house and she was all smiles. And considering how unbelievably depressed she had been over the last couple of weeks, I mean, this really stood out. And so when her mom saw her smiling and radiating happiness, she rushed over to her and said, you know, what's gotten into you? Why are you in such a good mood? And Renae would tell her that actually I've met another guy. And so Teresa said, Who? Who did you meet? Who is this person? And she would tell her mom that his name is Braden Spiteri. He was 23 years old, and he was a graduate of the King's School, which is a really prestigious boys' school in Sydney. And his father was this really successful business person who owned this big construction company that he was set to inherit later on. And so she was just raving about how amazing this guy was. And Teresa was really happy. If nothing else, this was a very good distraction for her. And so she asked her daughter at some point, you know, how'd you meet this guy? And Renae would tell her that Camilla had introduced them. Camilla Zaidan was Renae's best friend. They had met in high school. And Renae would explain to her mother that Braden was actually Camilla's ex.
Hold on. This nigga Dave said, I want a side chick, but I need a front chick first. That was a good one. Kudos to you. That was funny. Okay, hold on. We got to go back just a few minutes or a few seconds.
Camilla Zaidan was Renae's best friend. They had met in high school. And Renae would explain to her mother that Braden was actually Camilla's ex-boyfriend, but they hadn't dated in a really long time, and there was no feelings between them. They were just friends at this point.
Oh,
and apparently, you know, after Renae had this really painful breakup, Camilla had just felt bad for her, and so she had gone out and found the best possible match for Renae, which in her mind was this guy Braden. Teresa knew Camilla really well because she was always over the house, and she knew Teresa's intentions must have been good, but she's thinking to herself, like, this is bad news.
Yeah,
you don't want to have
come on,
best
listen
friends,
to yourself.
one dating the ex-boyfriend of the other. It's just bad news waiting to happen. And so Teresa couldn't even help herself, and she says to her daughter, do you really think it's a good idea to be dating Camilla's ex-boyfriend? But Renae would tell her mom, look, Camilla was totally upfront with me. She just wants me to be happy. She thinks Braden is a good match for me. They don't have feelings anymore, not at all. She's totally in support. And so Teresa still very much had her doubts that this was a good idea. But she put those doubts aside, and instead she said, okay, well, can you show me a picture of Braden? Can I see what he looks like?
Right there.
And so Renae pulls out her phone and she finds a picture of Braden and she shows it to her mom. And right away, her mom is looking at this picture and seeing that Braden is a very handsome guy, big, bright smile. But she sees in this picture, Camilla is very clearly laying on his shoulder like she is his girlfriend. And so again, Teresa's thinking to herself, this is not good. Someone is going to get hurt. But over the next couple of weeks and months, Renae and Braden texted each other all the time. I mean, Renae had her phone out basically 24/7 talking to Braden. The pair had made plans to meet up and see each other in person for the first time on several different occasions, but every single time they were set to go meet, one of them would have a conflict that would make it impossible to have this face-to-face meeting. And so before long, when they just could not get a meeting established, they kind of stopped trying to have face-to-face meetings. It was almost like they had built this really strong, flourishing relationship all via their phones, and it just was getting more and more awkward to actually go out and see each other in real life. It was just more comfortable doing it all on their phones. And so this digital-only relationship between Renae and Braden continued for almost a year until January of 2012, when something horrible happened. Braden was in a horrible motorcycle accident. He survived the accident, but his passenger, his best friend, this guy named Richie, who was riding right on the back of his motorcycle, he didn't survive. He was killed in the accident. And it was determined that Braden was driving recklessly. And so he was charged with manslaughter and convicted and sentenced to 2 years in prison. Even though Renae's mother, Teresa, was totally upset about this accident. I mean, she did understand someone had lost their life and now Braden was going to jail for 2 years. She understood the seriousness of...
Brody's here. It's just me here. Yeah, ain't nobody else there. Yeah, like Lana's at a sleepover birthday party, and then the other two girls are Jay's at her mom's and Lena's at her grandpa's house. Yeah. Gee. Like a cabaret place. Yeah. All right, I'm back. It's my goddaughter and best friend showed up.
This accident. But at the same time, there was a part of her, her motherly, protective side of her, that was kind of relieved for her daughter. She figured with Braden being out of contact for 2 years in prison, that their relationship would end and Renae could go pursue somebody else who was not an ex-boyfriend of a close friend and was someone that she could actually see in person and not just have to text with all the time. But surprisingly, after Braden was transferred to Goulburn Prison, which is where he'd be serving his 2-year sentence, it's located about 2 hours to the south of Sydney, his family smuggled a phone somehow into this jail, and he was able to continue texting with Renae. And so after he was incarcerated, they just picked up their relationship like nothing had changed. Now, Renae's family did not like this development, and they told her as much. They thought this was a bad idea, that this was the wrong path for her, but Renae didn't care. She was totally in love. And in fact, over the first couple of weeks that he was in Goulburn Prison, their relationship only intensified. They actually agreed to get married as soon as he was released at the end of 2013. And in fact, Renae had already begun making wedding preparations. She had gone on eBay and...
You ain't even met this nigga? Like, what are you talking about? She's gonna end up having a relationship with her best friend. That's what it's gonna be. That chick. She getting catfish right now.
On this beautiful tiara she would wear on her wedding day, and she had contracted a wedding photographer, and she had even contacted the Greek consulate to ask if it would be okay if Braden were allowed to enter their country, because they were planning to have their honeymoon in Greece, and Braden was going to be a convicted felon, and so she needed permission for him.
You can grab a chair, come here if you want.
In August of 2013, just 2 months before Braden's expected release date, something changed. Renae's mother, Teresa, got a text message from Braden, something she had never gotten before, and it said, "You need to check on your daughter. She's talking about killing herself." And so Teresa is totally taken aback by this message, and she goes right into Renae's bedroom where she is sitting on her bed, and her mother sits down next to her and says, "Honey, are you okay? You know, what's going on?" And Renae would look up at her mom and say, "Yeah, you know, I'm fine. What's going on with you?" And then Teresa would hold out the phone and show her the text message from Braden. And as soon as Renae saw it, she kind of sighed and looked at her mom and said, "I'm not going to hurt myself myself, we just broke
Yeah,
up.
these are some
Our relationship is over.
M&M's
Teresa knew
Cookie
this was
Crunch.
going to be an extremely hard stretch of time for her
Cookie-
daughter
Cookie
with
Crunch.
another painful
They're
breakup
actually
here.
really good.
But at the same time, Teresa thought to herself, this is probably for the best. That relationship just had bad news written all over it from the start, and so now she can begin to heal and move forward with her life. And so Teresa and Renae would sit in the room for a while just chatting on the bed, and then eventually Renae would tell her mom that her plans that night were to go out with her friends and cut loose and kind of just forget about this whole thing. And so Teresa sat in her bedroom on her bed as her daughter stood in front of the mirror and got ready. And then once Renae was ready, she and her mom hugged and kissed, and then Renae told her mom she'd be back soon, and then she left the house. A few hours later, Teresa received a text message from her daughter, and it started with, "Mom, I love you so much, and I'm sorry for the pain I'm about to cause you. You can still talk to me though, just call out my name and I'll be there." Teresa read this message and didn't really know what to make of it. She knew her daughter was almost certainly very upset about this breakup, but she didn't really understand the context of this message, and so she called her daughter. She didn't pick up, so she called her again, and after that second time her daughter didn't answer, she sent her a text message that just said, "Please call me back." But she sat there kind of waiting for her daughter's call, but it never came. And so Teresa, starting to feel a little bit worried about her daughter, she called Camilla and she asked her, "Hey, have you talked to Renae tonight? Because I can't get in touch with her." And Camilla would tell Teresa that actually, yeah, I just got a very strange text message from her that just said, "I love you, I'm sorry." And so at this point, the two women understood that there could be something very wrong with Renae, and so they met up and drove all around Sydney, going to all the places that Renae was known to go to. But after several hours of looking and not hearing back from Renae, they really didn't know what to do. And so the two women drove back to Teresa's house, so Renae's house, and they went inside and they sat down, and at that point, Teresa's husband and the rest of Renae's siblings, they were all there, and everyone's just kind of sitting around wondering what to do next, when around 9:30 at night, they heard a knock on the door. And it was the police coming to inform them that they had found Renae's car parked in an area that it shouldn't have been, but Renae wasn't there. And so they were coming to ask if they knew where she was and why her car might be out there. And so at this point, the family is totally terrified. They tell the police about these strange text messages, and then before long, the parents just rush outside, they hop in their cars, and they drive out to where their daughter's car is.
Disgusting.
And where Renae's car was parked was in an area called the Gap.
Gross, bro.
It basically was this sheer cliff overlooking the ocean. The parents got out and they searched their daughter's car, but there was no sign of where she had gone based on the car. And so they began running up and down the cliffs. There was a sidewalk that kind of ran parallel to the edge of the cliff. And they're running up and down, hoping they're going to find their daughter, but there's no sign of her. And then at some point, Teresa climbed up to one of the highest points of the cliff. And when she got up there, she found her daughter's black flat shoes. And they were placed neatly together on the ground right in front of the fence that was there to prevent people from getting too close to the edge of the cliff. But despite an extensive search that night, they couldn't find any sign of Renae. She was nowhere to be found. However, the police would discover the following day that there was actually a camera that was looking at that section of the cliffs. And so they reviewed this footage and they found Renae. They saw what happened to her. And in this camera footage, you see Renae walking up the trail in the middle of the night.
Oh, damn. Damn commercial. I was like, waiting intently.
The flavor is so fresh. You won't anticipate it. Well, maybe you will.
Hello? What's up?
Oops, were you on live?
Yeah, I'm on live right now.
My bad. Love you, bye.
All right, love you, bye. All right. Oh,
shoes, and she puts them down, and then
no, go back.
Of the cliffs. And so they reviewed this footage and they found Renae. They saw what happened to her. And in this camera footage, you see Renae walking up the trail in the middle of the night, and she stops and she takes off her shoes and she puts them down, and then she hops over that fence. Now the fence was not right up against the very edge of the cliff. It was set back maybe 3 or 4 feet. And so she hops over the fence, and then she steps very carefully to the edge of the cliff, and she kind of peeks over the edge and then looks visibly terrified, and she moves backwards a few steps until her back is pressed up against the fence. And then she pulls out her phone and she sends 3 text messages. One was to her mother, which is the text about how she loved her and she was sorry for the pain she was going to cause her. And then the other two text messages were to Camilla and also to Braden. However, to this day, we don't actually know what either of those text messages said. And then after sending these 3 text messages, Renae takes her phone and she throws it off the cliff into the water. And then she sat down and began kind of shimmying herself forward towards the edge. Now, the camera did not actually pick her up falling off the cliff, but it's assumed when she went out of frame that she had fallen off the cliff to her death. Her body would never be recovered. Renae's death was ruled a suicide. However, her family, in addition to being totally devastated by this horrible loss, they felt totally confused. They had no idea why this had happened, but they were certain it had to have something to do with this recent breakup with Braden Spiteri. And so they tried to get in touch with Braden, but he wasn't getting back in touch with them. And so the family contacted the police and said, can you reach out to the prison where he is and set up a meeting? And so the police obliged them and they called Goulburn Prison. And when they spoke to the prison, they said, who? Braden who? Yeah, we don't have a Braden Spiteri here. We never have. And the reason was, Braden Spiteri wasn't real. Renae's friend, Camilla, had made him up. He was a fictitious person. That picture of Braden Spiteri where Camilla is laying on his shoulder, that was just some random person she had met in a club. Camilla had always been very possessive of Renae ever since they had met in high school, and at some point, she had just decided that she wanted even more control over Renae. And so the first thing she did is she convinced Renae that her earlier boyfriend, the one she'd been dating for 2 years before Braden, she convinced Renae that he had been cheating on her the whole time, he was unfaithful, that he didn't love her, and then she had created those text messages and given them to Renae and convinced Renae that that was something he had said, and before long, Renae totally believed it. She approached her boyfriend, he denied it, but Camilla the whole time is telling Renae, he's lying to you, he's been doing this whole time, I know he's a bad guy, and so Renae had listened to her best friend, and she had severed that relationship. And then almost immediately after that, Camilla swoops into the rescue and connects Renae with this Braden guy, Camilla's supposed ex-boyfriend, who really was just Camilla on the other side of the phone. And for nearly 2 years, Camilla kept this charade up, and Renae completely believed this was a real person, that Braden was her boyfriend. She loved him. And eventually, in June of 2013, so 2 months before Renae died, she confided in Braden, aka Camilla, that her friend Camilla was toxic and mean and controlling, and she didn't want to be her friend anymore. And so Camilla, she's reading this and she's furious. And so she decides the only way to get revenge on Renae and regain control of her is to have Braden break up with her. And so 2 months later, on August 5th, 2013, so on the day that Renae died, she was out to lunch at around 1 p.m. with a coworker when she gets a text message from Braden that just kind of comes out of the blue, and it says, I need a break from you. Now, this is around the time that they're planning their wedding. And so Renae is totally heartbroken, and she's trying to get in touch with him and call him. He's not picking up. And then fast forward to about 2:45 p.m. that afternoon, we know Renae called Goulburn Prison. It was the first time she had done that. Now, we don't know who she spoke to or what they actually talked about, but it's nearly guaranteed that she learned Braden Spiteri was not being held there. And so almost certainly she would have realized that Braden is either not real, or Braden had been lying to her in such a huge way that the relationship could never work. And so no matter what, this chapter of her life was totally over. And so later that day, when she was sitting on her bed in her bedroom and her mom came in and she asked her how she was doing, it's very likely that Renae was devastated. She was crushed and probably kind of embarrassed about how badly she had just been duped by this Braden person, whoever that was. And so even though normally Renae would tell her mother everything, her mother was her confidant, she loved her.
Hold on 1 second. Chief just fucking ate my goddaughter's food. That's it. Bruh, that's rude. Go. Not back there. It's not your fault, man. Son of a bee. Oh, looks like I order something. My bad, y'all. My bad. I had to help clean up after the dog real quick. He did a boo-boo. You know what I'm saying? He did a boo-boo. He ate the baby's food. He couldn't help himself. Just a big monster. He just couldn't help himself. Well, let's do this. Let's get back into this. My bad, y'all. Let's go.
It was like she just couldn't bring herself to discuss what was happening to her. It was just so enormous. It was so overwhelming that she hid it from her mother. And instead, she just got dressed up, said goodbye to her mom, and then she headed out to the cliffs. No charges were ever brought against Camilla because catfishing, which is exactly what she was doing, which is using a fictitious online persona to lure people into relationships, well, that's not considered a crime in Australia. And Camilla, despite being pressed by the police and Renee's family, has never taken responsibility for this and has never apologized. So that's going to do it, guys. If you got something out of today's episode and you haven't done this already, please ask the like button to be the back half of your two-person horse costume for Halloween. And after they accept, spend the night before drinking Miller Lite and eating falafel. Also, please subscribe to our channel and turn on all notifications so you don't miss any of our weekly 1 or 2 video uploads. We now have a podcast where we put out brand new, never...
That's dope. Shout out to Mr.Ballen. Make sure y'all go subscribe. You see, I'm subscribed. I don't know. Well, I might be in the way, but, you know, he's subscribed. Make sure y'all subscribed to Mr.Ballen. All right, let me close this tab, actually. We're going to go see, let's see, if any new Mysterious Fives. There's a whole bunch. I want to do a scary. Let's do some scary shit, though. If you wanted to grab one of those smaller chairs, one of the girls' little desk chairs, it brings you down a little bit lower, and then you're able to scoot closer without having your knees all up in my fucking chest and shit, bro. You know what I'm saying?
Nah, I just hear a bunch of whiny bullshit.
All right, real bizarre. Let's see. Where was that other one? No. Nukes, there it is. Nukes. That's what we was going to Nukes. Let's go find a Nukes video.
Did you put him in timeout?
Yeah.
He looked all just sad. I came in, he put his head up, and then I just walked in and took 2 steps. He put it down, and it was all sad.
You know, 'cause I don't sit there and yell at him or, you know, whoop him or nothing like that. But when he gets in trouble, you gotta go sit down on the bed, bro. You gotta take 5-10 minutes. Think about what you did. All right. Let's do this one right here. It's solid 28 minutes. Ooh, no, let's do this one. Let's talk about bubble guts.
Custom framing is preserving what's important to the customer, but doing it in a creative way.
To give you the bubble guts.
You've probably seen the quad lock case around. I'm going to show you how this securely attaches to your quad lock car mount. Firstly, we've got the case, a beautiful matte finish, edge-to-edge protection. Feels great in your hands, but most importantly, you get that drop protection. Secondly, we've got the car mount, industrial strength suction cup, super rigid body, all you need.
Alright, for any of y'all who don't know who I'm talking to, Brody's in there, dude.
Captain Ghost, caught on camera. The Watcher. In Japan, an anonymous man travels to a remote area of the Japanese countryside in search of adventure. He says that he has read creepy stories online that talk about the location of an allegedly haunted house on this mountain, and he plans to find it.
ちょっと今現在の時刻が18時49分7時前なんですが、もう暗いですね。やっぱり山でこれは登るとこどうやったのこれ。
It's dark though.
階段ですね。階段がありました。
Eventually, the lone explorer actually does find the old decaying house and makes his way inside. He immediately notices that someone has hung several paper talismans on the wall. In many Japanese religions, these talismans are believed to ward off evil spirits.
で、いろいろとありますが、お札がある。お札。これはさっきもあったぞ、お札。なんて書いてんねんこれ。さっきと一緒のお札がある。怖っ。何これ。なんかあったんちゃうか、村で、この村で。なんか変な糞みたいな、ウジ虫みたいなのが、臭い、これか。多分これです、この臭い匂い。いや、怖っ、マジで。
The house is a decaying wreck, and in one room there are hundreds of disgusting maggots crawling all over the floor. The explorer smells a horrible odor coming from somewhere nearby and goes to investigate. What happens next is downright chilling.
多分トイレだとは思うんですけど、いや、怖い。これは本当に怖い。さすがにちょっとなんか大便器ですね。気があってなんか抜けてます。抜けてます、そこが。これはきつい。危ない。臭い。やばい。臭いです。ちょっとやばいです。この辺にライトがちょっとこの辺にしときます。怖いです。出ましょう。
I saw it in the window. You see that shit?
Did you see it?
Yeah.
As he hurries out of the bathroom, a terrifying face can be seen staring directly at him through a window. The man has no idea what he has just recorded, but he gets an overwhelming feeling that he just needs to get out of there. So could it be that someone passed away inside the old home and their angry spirit never left? And just who
Look at it, it's
or
like
what is
big ol'
this? I leave it for you to decide. Shadow of doubt. A family in California says that they have experienced many strange, unexplained things since the day they moved into their new home. They've heard voices, lights turn on and off for no reason, and they frequently hear unexplained loud banging. So one night, as the family husband and father lays watching TV in the bed, their CCTV camera picks up sudden motion and begins to record. When they review the footage, they are shocked.
Oh, I didn't even see that over there. Oh!
Even pick up that motion.
A shadow-like figure seems to quickly dart out of the room. The family has no idea who or what this creepy dark figure could be, and whatever it was, it didn't even make a sound. To this day, the mysterious footage remains unexplained. The lonely road. In Brazil, there is a seemingly quiet stretch of highway near the city of Campo Grande that some say is cursed. Despite the fact that this short section of Brazilian Highway 262 is a relatively quiet drive, many people have lost their lives in mysterious car crashes on this road. And even stranger, many of these crashes involved only one car. You see, for some unknown reason, the drivers simply lost control of their vehicle, veering off the road or even flipping their car. On May 30th at around 2 a.m., a truck ran off the road on this same stretch of Brazilian Highway 262, and a passenger lost his life. A TV news crew shows up to film the gory wreckage for the local news. But when they broadcast the footage, viewers quickly point out that the TV news cameras accidentally caught something else. Something truly bizarre.
Ali na saída para Três Lagoas, esta caminhonete capotou.
Whoa, I saw that.
Did you see it? The pale face of a young child seems to appear out of nowhere behind the mangled truck, first at the back, then quickly peeking through the front window. Now, keep in mind, this video was filmed at around 3 a.m. So why would a child be wandering the highway near a gory, wrecked truck so late at night? Well, this is where things get even stranger. Because 2 years before this crash, another local TV news station reported a wreck very similar to this one. On this exact same stretch of road, a truck that looked just like this one crashed in the same way. And in that wreck, an 8-year-old boy tragically lost his life.
Dentro da caminhonete estavam 6 pessoas, entre elas uma criança de 8 anos que morreu na hora.
So is this the restless spirit of the boy who passed away in a very similar accident? And if not, just why is a child wandering through highway wreckage at 3 a.m.?
That's
Let
great.
me know
Yeah,
what you
that's
think.
nuts. It's all good, Lisa. What's up? Help you out. Yeah, that shit's crazy.
Thrilling thrift. Jesse from the YouTube channel Thrift School records his trips to local thrift stores and then shows how it's possible to make some extra money by finding cheap secondhand products and reselling them online. One day, he goes to the local Goodwill and films a new video. But when he uploads the footage to YouTube, his viewers are shocked. It seems that Jesse caught something very unexpected. Something downright creepy.
And that's one good thing about doing this for so many years. I kind of know just by looking, right? I don't have to scan every single one of these things. Now, prices always fluctuate, so I always recommend scanning everything.
And did you see it? When Jesse pulls out a shiny CD case to take a better look, the reflection of a smiling woman can be seen right behind him.
That is creepy.
Now, Jesse was all alone that day, and as he turns around, no one there. And there's video proof that Jesse was alone. As he enters the store, we see his lone reflection in the glass. But the really weird thing here is, when Jesse first pulls out the CD case,
there's nothing
there's
there.
no one in the reflection. Whoever this woman is, she just suddenly appears and then disappears out of thin air. Jesse himself replied to the shocked comments on his video and said that even he finds the creepy sudden appearance, quote, pretty scary. But what do you think? Did Jesse capture a ghost at the Goodwill?
Hell yeah, he caught a
And
ghost
why
at the Goodwill.
is she smiling? Let me know your
She's at
thoughts.
the Goodwill.
down in
Low
the
prices,
comments.
low prices.
Paranormal puppies. In this very quick video from an unknown source, a dog seems to hear something inside a room and scratches at the door. It did not go well. A strange white mist seems to float right through the door, and the dog wants no part of it. In this next clip, sent in by Nuke's Top 5 viewer Anita Barella, a man says that he has seen
The dog was like, I got 99 problems, but a ghost ain't one.
heard some strange paranormal things around his home. And now it seems like the ghost might be messing with his dog, too.
You get a multi-driver discount, you get a multi-car discount, and things like that. But the insurance wouldn't be in your name.
Snatch the toy
As the dog is chewing on its toy, something seems to rip the chew toy right out of its mouth and fling it across the room. Now, I think we can all agree here. Ghost haunting and terrifying humans, that's just good entertainment. But leave the doggos alone, ghosts. That's my statement. Anyway, the thing in the shed. Alexei Chirapanov from the YouTube channel Traversa lives in the remote countryside of Russia. After some odd experiences, Alexei believes that some strange person or thing might be living in the woods near his home. Late one night, he starts to hear strange noises, the sound of banging and movement from his shed outside. He heads out to investigate, filming with his phone in hopes of capturing evidence.
У меня в сарае какая-то тварюга сидит, непонятная. Вон, в том проеме. Сейчас вот буквально час назад выходил, никого не было. Сейчас вот вышел. И шумит кто-то непонятно. Эй! Эй! Сука, тварь ебаная. Эй! У! Господи, господи. А ну, влазь давай. Что ты там ломаешь? Тварюга какая, а?
Ты кто такой вообще? Yo!
Oh, it threw the pot back at him.
Посудина кидается, тварь такая.
Alexei demands that whoever is in the shed leave, but the person or thing just angrily throws around objects in the shed while screaming in a strange yipping wail. But the intruder stays out of sight. Judging by the strange screeches, Alexei now begins to wonder if he might be dealing with some kind of strange creature. He looks into the shed's side window to get a better look, and his blood runs cold.
What was that?
Alexei sees someone or something peeking back at him from inside the shed. Something with glowing eyes. But is Alexei's encounter real or just part of some elaborate ARG? You decide. You can watch Alexei's many encounters with this person or creature over on his YouTube channel, Traversa.
This powerful $99 drone is now available in the US. This is an extremely high-tech
raising on my fucking legs.
The Jinn.
What the hell is this?
This
What's going on?
video is a bit of a mystery as I've been unable to find the source. The video seems to be recorded by a CCTV camera situated in a mosque during prayer time.
Whoa.
A dark figure suddenly runs across the room and disappears right through a wall. Some believe this mysterious apparition to be a jinn, a supernatural creature believed to be a spirit or demon. But what do you think? Off the rails. Late one night, Brazilian YouTuber Ballen and his friends set out to explore a vacant and supposedly haunted train station. The railway depot has been abandoned for many years after a passing train violently derailed, taking the lives of many passengers on board. Locals say that late at night you can hear pleading voices and screams coming from the wreckage of the old train. The station is said to be cursed and visitors are warned to stay away. Ballen and his friends split up to explore the area, and they each record their experience. Ballen's friend and fellow YouTuber Isabella finds herself getting a little freaked out as she begins to hear unexplained noises coming from an abandoned house near the train station. What happens next chills her to the core.
Voltando, essa daqui é uma das casas, as primeiras que a gente entrou. Eu tô ouvindo algum barulho. Eu acho que eu vi alguma coisa. Valha, eu acho que eu vi alguma coisa. Eu tô voltando, eu acho que eu vi alguém.
Alô?
Eu tô voltando. Eu vi uma menina na casa.
Someone or something walks past the window inside an abandoned house near the train wreck. Isabella runs in fear and tries to warn her friends. Meanwhile, team members Lucas and Hakinem are exploring another area when they too experience something terrifying.
A gente já veio aqui, a Isabela tá surtada. Certeza que ela tá surtada.
Oh, shit. No, you didn't see that door slam?
The two explorers run back to the car and the group agrees that they should just all get out of there. So did they catch a real haunting at the abandoned train yard? Or is it all just an elaborate hoax? You decide. Unholy.
Nah, fuck that.
If you want to featured a very creepy paranormal investigation shared by ghost hunters David and Dell from the YouTube channel Signs and Signals. Together with his nephew Eli, Dell investigated a church in Chester, South Carolina that is over 200 years old. In the early 1900s, the church is believed to have been the site of dark ritualistic ceremonies. Dell and Eli captured some very strange and horrifying paranormal activity inside the church.
If there's a presence here, could you make yourself known? Dude.
Something playing.
Bro.
Dude.
He
got
look at his
shit
eye.
He just shit on himself for real.
Come on, just play the piano one more time for me. What's that? Dude. Did you used to play piano here?
Now, the Signs and Signals team, David and Dell, haven't been very active on YouTube in a while. That is, until one night, the two friends happened to drive past that same church in Chester, South Carolina, and they noticed something very odd. They pull over and start to film.
I got it. Yeah, it's recording. I don't know, for some reason, you see it? Yeah, it's a light. Is it a candle? I can't tell if it's a candle. I really don't want to get out. It looks like it's a candle. I don't want to get out.
You're not supposed to be here. There's no cars here.
No.
We gotta get over there and look at that, dude. Come on.
I don't know. Dale.
Dude, it's a candle.
Oh, snap.
Oh!
What the hell is that? No.
Oh, no,
We've
bro.
sold over $500,000
You keep all
worth
that
of spices.
shit.
That's so
Shout out
crazy.
to Lisa. Oh, man.
No.
David and Dell see a lit candle at one of the church's windows, even though no one is supposed to be inside. Then suddenly they see a mysterious dark shape move quickly by the window. Now David and Dell decide to just get out of there, but they say they wonder if they accidentally caught some sort of dark ritual going on inside the empty church, just like the strange ceremonies held there over 100 years ago.
All that shit, bro.
You can watch more paranormal investigations and terrifying experiences at the church over on David and Dell's YouTube channel, Signs and Signals. Interference. This next video was sent to me by Nuke's Top 5 viewer, Adam Gamble. He says that the video was sent to him by a friend from work. Recently, the man's dog had developed a strange cough. So one night, as his wife is laying in bed watching TV, the dog begins to cough and she starts to record so she can show it to the veterinarian. What she ends up recording, however, takes her completely by surprise. An unexplained shadow darts from right to left, right in front of the TV. Whatever it is, it doesn't appear to be part of the TV show that she's watching, as it completely covers the main characters. The figure also seems to be crossing in front of the TV as it blacks out all light. Adam says that he hopes that someone might have an answer to just what this could be.
A gremlin.
So, what do you think it is? And no worries, their dog is well and doing fine. Thanks for watching. Follow me on Instagram here, Twitter right there, and someone said there's also a TikTok? Anyway, I'll see you next week.
Someone said there's a TikTok? Yeah, fuck that. Anyway, let's move on. Let's see what's next. You open that door.
Oh, yeah.
He can come out. All right, we're gonna do this one. Something about this one was just calling my name. Come lay down. You're all right. It's all right. You're all right. Okay, go lay down. Go lay down. You're not in trouble no more. Go lay down. Ooh, you just bumped your head. Careful. All right, let's go. Let's get into this. This will make you cry like
Up and goes. Caught on camera. Attachment. Tammy Jermathy says that paranormal activity has become a regular part of her life. Tammy believes that a dark entity has attached itself to her and follows her from home to home.
Oh,
no
that's
matter
terrible.
where she...
Bruh, if you ever had a demon that was following you from home to home, we couldn't be friends no more.
I would feel you. Maya, everybody just stay away. Oh, that would suck, but...
Oh, man, that's terrible.
Tammy is so intent on capturing evidence of the supernatural activity that she experiences on a daily basis that she set up multiple motion-activated security cameras all around her home in Mountain House, California. For the first time ever, she captures what she has witnessed firsthand throughout her life on camera.
Something. Oh, man. What is that? Oh, it's her dog or a cat. Oh, the damn commercial. I need to get my
prescription delivery.
Order
Order it now at CVS. Healthier happens together.
Oh, that's so...
Natural fries are back at Taco Bell.
Oh, that was terrible. Something just creeping out.
Her cameras capture extreme poltergeist activity as furniture and objects move on their own. And then, most terrifying of all, a pale figure can be seen looking out from behind a wall. And these spooky incidents are just the beginning of what Tammy captures on her cameras. On January 30th, 2020, Tammy packs up her life and moves from California to her new home in McKinney, Texas. Almost immediately after moving in, the paranormal activity starts up once again, and the events only seem to get worse as Tammy, her cats, and even her dog are terrorized by the dark presence in her home.
Oh, man.
So he's literally been standing there now for about 10 minutes. Won't come when I call him. Hasn't moved at all. Just keeps staring in here at me. Really kind of creeping me out.
In your room.
It threw it up out of the fucking sink.
Tammy's cats seem visibly spooked by something we can't see. And as her cute little doggie is alone in the kitchen, a fork suddenly launches from the dishes in the kitchen sink and lands in an empty frying pan. Another area in Tammy's new Texas home that seems to attract a lot of supernatural activity is her bedroom, where she keeps a collection of antique dolls, old photos,
That's
and clothing
right, there
in a
you
wooden and glass
go.
display cabinet.
Throw that shit away. Burn all of that.
Yeah.
Bro, the arm just moved.
Over the years, Tammy has captured countless motion-activated videos of terrifying activity in her home, and she begins to share her videos online on TikTok for the world to see. She immediately begins to receive a lot of attention from concerned paranormal fans as she frequently uploads her haunting experiences. To Tammy's horror, the unknown entity that she captured on camera in her old home seems to have returned with a vengeance.
She alone. Something's weird in this. Oh, bro.
seems to appear in Tammy's kitchen, living room, and bedroom. Creepiest of all, the same pale figure that she captured on camera in California seems to appear in her new Texas home's bathroom mirror. So what do you think is going on in Tammy's home? Could a dark entity have made a connection to her and now be following her from home to home? Never
She gotta
stopping.
burn them dolls, bro.
As always,
Dolls
I
gotta
leave
go.
it up to you to decide. You can watch all of Tammy's paranormal experiences over on her TikTok page, The Haunted One 36, and her YouTube channel, The Haunted One. Leave and die. Popular Japanese ghost hunters.
Ain't it supposed to be leave or die? You gotta leave and die? God damn.
John, Daichan, and Yasuke from the YouTube channel Clip Store are contacted by a viewer who tells them the story of the historic Sabukawa village in Miyazaki Prefecture, Japan. The small Japanese village was built way back in 1597 in a remote area high in the mountains. The mountain village had no roads and was a bit dangerous to travel to. So by the mid-1900s, many of the villagers began to leave the settlement. By 1989, the historic 400-year-old Sabukawa village was completely abandoned. An anonymous viewer tells the ghost hunters that a few years ago, a friend of hers went to visit the decaying and empty houses of Sabukawa village, deep in the mountains. The urban explorer told her that he was confronted by an angry old couple who seemed to be living in the abandoned village. Strangely, they told him to, quote, leave and die. Allegedly, only 6 months after his journey to the village in the bizarre meeting, the man passed away. Now, the viewer says that as inaccessible as the mountain village is, it seems very unlikely that an old couple would be living there all alone. So considering the odd encounter and the man's subsequent death, the viewer is convinced that the people that her friend met were actually angry, vengeful spirits. The Clip Store team sets out to investigate whether the abandoned Sabukawa village might be haunted. When they arrive at the location, they realize just how hard it is to reach the town. They have to leave their car and continue hiking on foot. After they finally arrive at the village, the team decides to split up and meet back in 30 minutes. They all set timers on their phones and go their separate ways to explore. In the dead of night, Clip Store host Gachan discovers the ruins of an abandoned school. What happens next is downright creepy.
I'm not splitting up. It's not even an option for us to go ghost hunting and go separate directions, bro. I'm not doing that shit. You got me fucked up.
裏側いやもう無理だねうん傾いてるしなえうん傾いてるしなえ走る足音みたいなしてえ
Oh, gotta go. Yeah, it's time to go,
めっ
bro.
ちゃ
That was our woman. Let's get the fuck out of here.
誰もいるわけないけどさ
Gachan discovers that the building is on the verge of collapse, but still from somewhere inside, he hears the sound of someone running, followed by the loud bang of something slamming or falling.
物音すごいお何
You would choose the old creepiest ass timer to go off. Like, you know what I'm saying? Dude. Like, what the? You in this dark ass, falling apart ass, creepy ass, goddamn haunted ass building, and you chose that as your goddamn ringtone to go off at 30 minutes? You're an idiot. And then you just turn it off.
30分経ちました戻ります
Gachan's timer alerts him that the 30 minutes are up, And then there's some strange loud bang from inside the creepy building that seems to agree. Gachan returns to the entrance of the village where he finds fellow investigator Yasuke. The two guys wait for their friend Dai-chan, but he just never shows up. The guys start to get worried and decide to go look for him. After a long search, they finally find Dai-chan in what appears to be a long abandoned house.
Oh, Dai-chan? 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 Dai-chan?
Dai-chan is confused and possibly dehydrated, just sitting there as if in a daze. But his camera is still recording. Fearing for Dai-chan's health and safety, they decide to just get out of there and make the long hike back to the car. Later, when they look back at Dai-chan's captured footage, they are shocked to their core. Dai-chan seems to have encountered something absolutely terrifying. This is the footage from Dai-chan's camera.
はい、それでは大ちゃんは今からこの山の上に登って。この家めちゃくちゃ綺麗じゃない？今まで見た家より一番綺麗なんやけど、誰も住んでないよね。結構しっかり残ってる。うわぁ、仏壇。神棚が置いてある。家がある。めちゃくちゃ足がある。また時計だ。
Yeah, this shit crazy.
Dai-chan suddenly sees a bizarre pale face staring back at him from behind a door. In shock, he stumbles back and falls, but when he gets back up, the mysterious, creepy face has disappeared. But then, as he turns around, he sees a man wearing a traditional Japanese robe, kneeling at a Buddhist altar on the other side of the abandoned home. Later, when his friends find him and Gachan walks outside, the same terrifying apparition of the man in the robe can be seen at the window, just watching him as he leaves.
Oh, that looked like kind of like a smudge on the window. Oh, after they enhanced it, it looks kind of like it.
So did the Clip Store team capture real paranormal activity in the
That
abandoned
shit was nuts.
Sabukawa
That would have
village?
terrified the shit out
Let
of
me
me.
know what you think. You can watch this entire 2-part investigation with even more scary paranormal moments over on the Japanese YouTube channel, Clip Store. Before we move on to the next video, if you see anything that you think should be included in the top 5, contact us at nukestop5@gmail.com. Ghosts of Carmel, Maine. Now, if you watched Nukes Top 5 for very long, you know all about the YouTube channel Ghosts of Carmel, Maine. But for anyone new, here's a quick recap. So a man named Kent Burris says that he and his family live in a house that is extremely haunted by multiple ghosts. Over the years, Kent has posted over 100 spooky paranormal video captures to his channel, Ghosts of Carmel, Maine.
Okay, there he is, in the window again.
Oh!
Say something or do something. Oh my God! No!
Hell no!
Now, in Kenton's latest video series, he plans to spend 72 hours all alone inside his haunted home, as he believes this might ramp up the paranormal activity and also make the incidents easier to verify.
This video is about being alone in the lamb house for 72 hours. Because when you sleep in this house and you know there's other people in this house, you know, you question whether something was paranormal related, but you're not sure because there's other people in the house or the cats are in the house. Now, during this 72 hours, the cat stayed out on the porch the whole time.
Throughout the day and night, Kent captures multiple strange EVPs throughout his home, and some of the messages are truly disturbing.
Are you in the kitchen now? Female disembodied voice.
You smell like shit.
And some of the supernatural EVPs that Kent captures even seem to be chilling threats focused directly at him. Now, as Ken is recording EVPs, he is also capturing video. When he reviews his footage later, he realizes that he captured something else in his house. Something absolutely horrifying.
Now, when I was doing the captions on these EVPs, I noticed something really strange by the steps. Well, I went to brighten it up and just to check it out, just out of curiosity.
You got a demon, sir. You've got a demon. You need to get that figured out. You need to go ahead and leave. Yeah, check it out. Burn it down. Ghost riders in your house trying to come get you, bro. That's death. That is creepy.
A dark figure with an odd, distorted face seems to be peering at Kent from around the corner of a doorway, but it's so dark that he doesn't even notice. Later, Kent heads upstairs to film in his bedroom, but he suddenly hears an odd, unexplained noise right behind him.
Now, when I go through the door of the bedroom, I hear a strange sound behind me, and I turn the camera around really fast. Now, I didn't see anything there, but out of curiosity, when I was going over these recordings, after I saw what was captured on the stairway, I also lightened up the recording when I spun the camera around, and there was another strange anomaly captured.
stairs.
Ken hears the noise, and as he spins around, he captures an unexplained shadow that seems to descend the stairs and disappear from sight. So did Kent capture evidence of the paranormal in his home? Check out his full two-part series over on his channel, Ghosts of Carmel, Maine, and decide for yourself. Viewer videos. News Top 5 viewer Jordan By sent in a video that he took while on an exploration trip to Bodmin Moor in Cornwall, England. Bodmin Moor is a very remote 80-mile stretch of land that is full of eerie legends and historic abandoned properties and ruins. The area is so remote that Jordan and his friend James Wheeler had to walk 3 hours into the wilderness just to find it. One bit of famous folklore from this area is the gruesome tale of Charlotte Diamond, a young girl who in 1844 had her life tragically and brutally taken on Bodmin Moor. The man who took her life, Matthew Weeks, was hanged for his crime, and to this day it is said that both of their spirits roam the moorlands. So, Jordan and his friend James are taking videos of an abandoned home in the middle of nowhere in Bodmin Moor, and they capture something really chilling.
It's like a lullaby.
Did you see it? No. When the footage is slowed down, the face of a child can be seen looking into the window from the other side of the abandoned building. Jordan doesn't even notice and has no idea what he's just recorded as the little face seems to just duck away from the window. The explorer claims that he and his friend James were the only ones there, and he believes that the face might belong to the restless spirit of Charlotte Diamond, the girl who lost her life there so many years ago. But what do you think this could be?
Oh, no.
Let me know down in the comments. In another creepy video, News Top 5 viewer Yanis Tassis from the city of Kozani, Greece, claims that he was on his way home one night when suddenly he hears a very bizarre sound. He quickly takes out his phone and begins to record.
Ακούστηκε μια μαλακή από εδώ πάνω. Μέχρι το σπίτι πάω, δεν πάω παραπέρα. Μαλάκα, ακούσω με φωνή μου. Μαλάκα, ακού. Τι στο μπούτσο, μαλάκα. Τι λες, έτσι και τίποτα,
Ow! I'm gone. Run!
Έχω χτυπάρει.
Never got that. I'm scared, bro.
Damn, like.
Yanis explains that the small structure is the entrance to the town's water tank, and he believes that whatever he's hearing might be something echoing from inside the tank. But echoing from where? Either way, whatever the sound is remains a mystery to this day.
That's crazy. You hearing somebody yell at some angry baby mama yell at her baby daddy and shit. You know what I'm saying? shit is echoing through the toilet or something.
Τι στο μπούτσο, μαλάκα.
Home studio? Pro studio? No studio? No problem. With 10...
Viewer Jessie Chapman claims that late one night her sister, who lives in West Virginia, captured something very strange on her CCTV doorbell camera, and she simply can't explain it.
Oh, shit. These kind of ghosts walking down the street and shit.
A creepy translucent figure appears to be walking on the lawn right in front of Jessie's sister. But Jessie's sister says she didn't see anyone or anything at the time, and she has no idea what the security camera captured that night. But about whether it's something paranormal or just some very, very odd video glitch. As always, I leave it up to you to decide.
Keep it pushing, Ghost.
The House of the Scarecrow. Paranormal investigators Kevin Barranco and Fabio Adauco from the popular YouTube channel Archivo Extinto traveled to an abandoned farmhouse in Mexico that locals claim is extremely haunted by a bizarre humanoid entity that they call, quote, the Scarecrow. It is said that an elderly couple who used to live in the large farmhouse tragically passed away after being abandoned by their own family. Their remains were not discovered for many years, and the farm was left in a severe state of decay. Over the years, local residents and even visitors to the farm began to tell the frightening story of a scarecrow-like spirit that terrorizes anyone who dares to set foot on the haunted property. Ghost hunters Kevin and Fabio set out to investigate whether the stories are true. Very soon after the guys arrive, they find something strange hidden behind a pile of bricks. And immediately after they pry it loose and pick it up, they witness something downright creepy.
Mira. No hay como un palito como para sacarlo, güey. Está súper atorada, güey. Está súper atorada, güey. Un dedo trata. Ya. Es como una pipa, ¿no? Claro que sí. ¿Sigues? Ah, no mames. ¿Qué?
Time to go. Time to go.
Me lo llevo. Cuidado. ¿Alguien se metió?
Kevin and Fabio find an odd small figurine hidden underneath a pile of bricks. And then suddenly, right behind them, a door closes on its own.
Better go put it back.
The two explorers immediately head in to investigate. But they find nothing to explain the door's movement. As they continue to look around, things take a terrifying turn.
Güey, allá, cuidado. Se vio algo allá.
Oh, he's solid. Look at that shit. My bad, y'all.
Allá, cuidado. Se vio algo allá. No mames. Cuidado. ¿Hola? ¿Qué viste? No sé, pero algo se vio. Solo vi que algo se metió aquí, güey. Bueno, me asustes, ¿qué viste, güey? No me asustes, ¿qué viste? Fue una sombra negra, justo aquí, en este lado, güey. Aquí como si se fuera metiendo hacia acá, güey, ¿sabes? ¿Aquí? Sí, güey. Acá está, mi amor.
He about shit.
Kevin spots someone or something looking at them from behind a doorway. They rush over, but again, no one there. That's when the two friends hear a blood-curdling deep growl or shriek coming from somewhere nearby. So did Kevin and Fabio capture the sinister humanoid entity that the locals call, quote, the Scarecrow? Or is it all just an elaborate hoax? You decide.
You decide.
You can check out this full investigation and many more creepy videos over on...
That's it. That's crazy. But all right, y'all. We had a good time, you know what I'm saying? Hanging out and doing our thing. I'm going to try to go live tomorrow to make up for the other live that we missed during this week. So be on the lookout. We're going to try to do it 2 days in a row and make up for last week and then get back to our regular scheduled programming and all that good nonsense and jazz and all that good stuff. You know what I'm saying? So I'll catch y'all on the next one. Y'all have a good goddamn night. And, yeah, see y'all later. Peace.